Welcome to Spectator Sporting, sponsored by SpectatorSporting.com. I'm Zach Roach.
I'm Ade Wale.
Make sure you go to SpectatorSporting.com for previous shows, clips. This show will be on there soon. Make sure you go on YouTube, subscribe to the Spectator Sporting page. This is episode number 14. We call it the great legendary Ernie Banks edition. We got major guests for you today. We got Valis Veto talking baseball, and we got Chauncey from the ChiTownBlockBoyz Fantasy Football League talking fantasy football. I can't wait to get into that. But let's get right into it. Training camp has started. That means a lot of new players have joined a lot of new teams. And let's talk offense. What offensive player struck you as a big-time addition this year?
Well, yeah, Jimmy Graham. He signed a 3-year, $30 million deal with the Green Bay Packers, right? He leaves Seattle, goes to Green Bay. He was second in the NFL in touchdown receptions last year. Now, the Green Bay Packers, all their tight ends combined for only 2 touchdowns last year. That's pretty horrible. Now, Aaron Rodgers, he's excited to see him down there in Green Bay. Jimmy Graham is a mismatched nightmare. He's too fast for linebackers, too big for DBs. I expect him to have double-digit TDs next season.
That's a great addition, especially with them losing Jordy Nelson. When they get rid of Jordy Nelson to pick up Jimmy Graham. And that's a void they've been meeting at the tight end position for a minute with the Packers, so that's a great addition. I'm looking at Alex Smith going to the Washington Redskins. So basically they replaced Kirk Cousins with Alex Smith. Alex Smith has been a quarterback. Last year his numbers is phenomenal. 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 4,042 yards. Wow. His best season. Yeah. But Alex Smith seems to have a rep where they always looking for his replacement. He gets the team to the playoffs. He wins. He doesn't turn the ball over. He don't lose a game. But he's seen as that guy that can't get over the hump. He's seen as that guy. But Washington, John Gruden, really wanted this guy. So I'm looking at that pick, and I'm like, we're going to see about that. But Alex Smith is a solid quarterback, and I thought that was a good one.
Yeah, he led the NFL in quarterback rating last year. He's very underrated.
He's very underrated. He don't get the credit. And then the guy he replaced, he got paid. You talking about somebody who got paid? Kirk Cousins, 3 years, $80-something million. But he has been good the last few years. He's last 4 years he's thrown over 4,000 yards. Last year 27 touchdowns, 13 picks, 93.9 quarterback rating. But they say his knock is he can't win the big games. Right. But Minnesota, who's got a great defense, they have everything in place. They feel like Kirk Cousins, that's all they need. They can go get over the hump. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to work out. But Minnesota is notorious for picking up these veteran quarterbacks. Remember they picked up Brett Favre in 09. Right. They picked up Warren Moon back in the day. They got Randall Cunningham. They're notorious for they always get a veteran. Now, give me another offensive player.
Well, yeah, and the Vikings, I feel like they did Case Keenum dirty. He had a pretty good season. He's down with the Denver Broncos, man. I think they should have held on to him, but another offensive guy, wide receiver, Martavis Bryant. Okay, he was with the Steelers last year. He kept complaining. He feels like he's better than Juju Smith-Schuster. He feels like he should have been a number 2 wide receiver behind Antonio Brown. So he kept demanding the trade, going back and forth with the management. They finally traded him on draft night. They traded him to the Oakland Raiders for a 3rd-round pick. All right. Now, Martavis Bryant, his first 2 years in the league, he was a rising star. He had 14 touchdowns, but he was suspended in 2016 due to a substance abuse violation, okay? But he's only 26 years old. He's a big target at 6'4", and he's joining Jordy Nelson, Amari Cooper, Derek Carr he had a bad season last year, but John Gruden is there. They're going to have a pretty interesting offense in Oakland.
Sorry, and I said John Gruden I meant Jay Gruden. Excuse me, that was a blunder on my part. But one thing about the Raiders, not only did Derek Carr not play good, Amari Cooper was awful last year. Right. He dropped so many passes last year, so he needs to step up, and I think Martavis Bryant will elevate them, if long as he can play. Now, there's speculation he might be suspended. We don't know that. But that is a good pickup. Let's talk defense. Give me a defensive guy.
The Honey Basher, Tyrann Mathieu. The Arizona Cardinals, they tried to make him take a pay cut, but he refused. They cut him. He's with the Houston Texans now. He's signed a 1-year deal for $7 million. Now, he's a very flexible DB. His natural position is strong safety, but he can play nickelback against slot receivers and be the 8th guy in the box to stuff the run or blitz. Now, the Houston Texans, they definitely need him. They was the 3rd worst team in the NFL in passing yards allowed per play. But J.J. Watt is healthy. They have Whitney Merciless. They have Jadeveon Clowney. So they have about 4 Pro Bowlers on that defense. They're going to be stacked. So the AFC South need to be a little afraid right now.
That was a great pickup. That was a sneaky great pickup too, because he's a playmaker. At the end of the day, he's a playmaker, and he can get some things. He can also return kicks and punts for him as well.
Right.
So he's a playmaker. Michael Bennett going to the Philadelphia Eagles. I guess there's no more Legion of Boom. Legion of Boom, it looked like it's about done. Earl Thomas is the last one, and he's holding out right now. But Michael Bennett going to the Eagles, an already good defense. Michael Bennett had 8.5 sacks last year. Now I suspect Michael Bennett got traded from the Eagles. From the Seahawks because of his mouth. Right? Let's just call it what it is. He always got something to say. But on the football field, he's a monster. He's got a very quick first step. He penetrates the line of scrimmage so fast. He's great against the run. And at defensive tackle, he had 8.5 sacks last year. That is great at that position. So I think the Eagles, who were already good, who were already stacked, got even better in the offseason on defense. Richard Sherman, the other guy from he's been one. I mean, you can argue Patterson, you can argue all, but Richard Sherman is the top 3 cornerbacks the last 5 years. Right. I mean, can we agree with that?
No doubt.
He's been phenomenal. He's been locked down. He's been big time in big moments. I mean, he made big plays in the Super Bowl. He's made big plays in the playoffs. He's been big time. But last year he came off a real bad injury.
Right.
A real bad injury. So I'm curious to see how he's going to be now. He's been in the league. He's got a lot of miles on him. He's still young. But if he can beat Richard Sherman, then he's going to help San Francisco out a lot. And San Francisco is going to be a team that's going to have to be dealt with.
No doubt. They're on the rise, man. And another guy, Malcolm Butler, all right? He left the New England Patriots.
Didn't play in the Super Bowl.
He's going to the Tennessee Titans. He was an undrafted free agent in 2014, all right? And he was a Super Bowl hero in his rookie year, okay? But Bill Belichick, like you just said, he shocked everybody by benching him in the Super Bowl last season.
That didn't go well.
It did not at all. The Eagles torched him for 41 points, all right, and they lost the game. So now Malcolm Butler, he's a former Pro Bowler. He has a lot left in the tank. He's not some old veteran that's about to retire. He's only 28 years old. The Tennessee Titans, they paid him a 5-year, $61 million deal. All right. So now he teams up with Adoree Jackson. All right. He was a first-round pick by the Titans last year. He's going to. Malcolm Butler is going to be a mentor to him to show him how to be a Pro Bowl cornerback. I think it's going to work out in Tennessee.
Absolutely. I think that was a good move as well. Let's talk Rams real quick. The Rams have spent some money. They just gave Brandon Cooks a lot of money. They just paid Todd Gurley a lot of money. But when are they going to pay Aaron Donald?
Right. I don't know. I think they need to pay him because he's going to be a free agent after this year. So they definitely don't want to lose that guy. Everybody's going to be all over him if he becomes a free agent. Now, they signed 3 guys. They traded for Marcus Peters. They traded 2 draft picks for Marcus Peters. This guy, he's a hothead. He took a flag. The ref threw a flag on him. He picked the flag up and threw it in the stands. he gets really upset. But he had 21 interceptions. They
got to keep to lead too. That's another hothead.
Yeah, they got him. He likes to collect chains, I heard. Yeah. That's his hobby. But yeah, Marcus Peters, that's going to be a good tandem right there. The man had 21 interceptions in the last 3 years. That's by far the most in the league. Also, with Aaron Donald, they got Ndamukong Suh. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler. That's another angry guy that's very talented. So the Rams are going to have a lot of pressure on Russell Wilson and Jimmy GQ in the NFC West. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Absolutely. You're watching Spectator Sport on SpectatorSport.com. When we come back, we had a Hall of Fame game yesterday. We're going to talk Hall of Famers. We'll be back. Welcome back to Spectator Sport, and I'm Zach Roach.
I'm Adi Waller.
Spectator Sport, brought to you by SpectatorSporting.com. Make sure you go on SpectatorSporting.com. Shows, clips, great articles written by my man right here. Previous clips. Go on the YouTube page, Spectator Sport, and subscribe. Do whatever you do. Check us out, man. We bring shows. This is the 14th episode. We call it the Ernie Banks edition. Chicago legend right there.
Right.
Hall of Fame. We got our Hall of Famers. Urlacher, Brian Urlacher, the Bears own, with a great linebacker, all-decade team between 2000 2010, 2006 Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, just a phenomenal career. What's your thoughts on Urlacher?
Yeah, Brian Urlacher, he kept the Bears tradition of the middle linebacker Hall of Fame tradition going. It started with Bill George, Dick Buckus, Mike Singletary, now Brian Urlacher, 6'4", 260, 4'5" speed, all right?
Incredible.
He led the Bears to their second Super Bowl appearance, all right? He had 41 sacks, 22 interceptions, 7-time Pro Bowler, first ballot Hall of Famer.
No question. Well deserved. And I still feel like he don't get the credit he deserved. They don't give him the credit. I think he's the best big middle linebacker, by the way, in the Bears history. I got him over Singletary and all.
Over Dick Buckus?
I didn't really see Dick Buckus, but I would say yes.
I just like to see Dick Buckus. He slammed people on their head and he tried to kill people. So
he was probably more violent than Brian. If you talk about a skill set,
right?
Brian Urlacher was one of the first. You know, they draft linebackers now because of Brian Urlacher the way they do now, with speed, height, and be able to do the whole thing. Now the one who's getting the one who's getting the most attention in this whole Hall of Fame class, this team this year, is Ray Lewis, 2-time Super Bowl champion, Defensive Player of the Year as well.
Right.
Phenomenal career. The Ravens, every year he was there, the Ravens was always top defense in the league. If they won #1, they were top 5. What's your thoughts on Ray Lewis?
Yeah, Ray Lewis, not only arguably the best middle linebacker of all time, he's a top 5 defensive player of all time. He's up there with Reggie White, Lawrence Taylor, Deion Sanders, Dick Buckus. He's up there with them guys. All-time defensive player. Okay, the man is the first player in NFL history to have 30 interceptions and 40 sacks. All right,
that's incredible. That's incredible.
2-time Super Bowl winner. Okay, he went out on top after 17 years in the NFL. 2012, he won a Super Bowl. Very durable. 17 years in the league, man, impeccable. Ray Lewis, he definitely deserved to be in the Hall of Fame first ballot.
You taking Ray Lewis over Urlacher?
Man, I'm from Chicago, but you know what? I'm gonna take Ray Lewis over Urlacher, but I'm gonna take Dick Buckus over Ray Lewis. There you go, Chicago. Dick Buckus over Ray Lewis.
Look, that to me is closer than people. I think Urlacher. I would probably give Ray Lewis a slight edge, but Urlacher was just as good as Ray Lewis at that time. Ray Lewis they won the Super Bowl. That's the difference. So if you want to give him credit for the Super Bowl, but Urlacher was just as good and just as dominant as Ray Lewis. And Ray Lewis always had a stacked defense. That's not against him. You can't blame, he had a good GM. Ozzie Newsome was a great GM. But Ray Lewis, I still give him the credit, but Urlacher was right there. Now here's a debate. This is the barbershop debate. This is a debate that always goes on. Two of the top receivers ever going to the Hall of Fame. Terrell Owens, and Randy Moss.
Right.
Big time receivers. I mean, they all top 5 in stats, and every stats they top 5, top 3, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Big time playmakers. So we ain't got to get into all that. We know they were great. Terrell Owens should have been first ballot. That was bogus. The NFL right there. He was the first player they did a character issue when going to the Hall of Fame. Nobody did that with no one else.
Right. He never got arrested.
He never got no off the field trouble. Well, I ain't gonna get into that. That's
right.
Okay. We'll leave that alone.
Was bogus.
We'll leave that alone. But with that being said, he's in the Hall of Fame now. Who you taking?
Okay, well, that's a tough question. Now, Randy Moss, second all-time in touchdown receptions in NFL history. He has the NFL record for touchdown receptions in a season with 23. He's a 6-time Pro Bowler. He has 2 Super Bowl starts. Now, Terrell Owens, third all-time in touchdown catches, second all-time in receiving yards. He has the NFL record for most catches in the game with 20, and he has a Super Bowl appearance where he had his ankle was injured.
He came off a broken leg.
Yeah, and he had 9 receptions, 122 yards, very close. But you know what? I'm going with Randy Moss.
Ooh.
I'm going Randy Moss because he's he's like the Barry Bonds of football. Just give me a home run. Forget all that 10-play drive. I had 5. No, just throw it deep. Give me a 80-yard touchdown catch. He may have 3 catches for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's all he needed. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going Randy Moss. Very close, but I'm going Moss over Terrell Owens.
Okay, I understand that. I'm going Terrell Owens. Now this is why. Now besides Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens is the most complete receiver in football history. He can run deep. He can beat you deep. He can beat you across the middle. I mean, Randy Moss, he told you, I'm not going across that middle.
No, he ain't doing that.
He ain't doing it. Terrell Owens did that. And not only Terrell Owens was one of the best blockers. He was one of the best blocking wide receivers ever as well. And you talking about somebody that kept his body in tip-top condition. And every Sunday, that man did not take one play off ever. Right. He was a warrior out there. So the criticism he get, you can't say when it was Sunday, you know he was ready to go. Right. And I just think like he brought the whole package. Now Randy Moss is the best deep receiver by far. You know, you talk about going deep. There's nobody that can touch Randy Moss in that aspect. But as a complete receiver, somebody who brings everything, going across the middle, going deep, blocking, doing whatever it takes the team to win, I got Terrell Owens in that aspect. So I'm going Terrell Owens.
I feel you.
First preseason game, Bears versus the Ravens. Yeah. What stuck out to you?
Well, you know, the rookie quarterback, Lamar Jackson, he was the 5th quarterback taken in the draft.
Last pick in the first round.
Right, and he was very upset about that. A lot of coaches some teams wanted him to play wide receiver. He wasn't having that. He wasn't going. Yesterday he had 1 touchdown catch, 1 interception. What do you think about his performance?
First game of the season, he's playing with, first preseason game. He's a rookie. Look, rookies gonna make mistakes in the preseason. You know, this is your first live action. You've been practicing. That's all you've been doing. You've been playing against each other. Right. You know, you haven't really tested the waters out there. So I expected some mistakes. I saw some good. I saw the speed. I saw he can get away. And I saw a couple good passes, but I saw a couple bad decisions. Typical of any rookie that plays football. Right. You know.
So Joe Flacco shouldn't be nervous right now.
No, Flacco shouldn't be nervous right now. And Flacco, you know, if he do his job, he don't have no reason to be nervous. Right. You know, he's only nervous because he hasn't been good the last few years. That's why he's nervous. So he shouldn't be nervous. But anybody stuck out on the Bears? Anybody played good for the Bears?
We had a couple of guys. You know, it was a lot of young guys. They didn't play a lot of first or second.
They didn't really play the starters at all.
Yeah, but Isaiah Irvin, edge rusher, outside linebacker. This guy had a sack. He had 2 quarterback hurries. He would have had another sack when he kind of jumped outside, but he got back behind the line of scrimmage, and he had a strip sack, but they called it back because of the flag. But this guy, he's showing some speed around that edge. And he was last year he was an undrafted free agent, and he actually led the Bears in sacks last preseason. All right, but he couldn't crack that rotation, so people wonder what's going to happen on the opposite side of Leonard Floyd. He may be able to jump up the depth chart ahead of Sam Archo and Aaron Lynch, the guy they got from the 49ers. Yeah. Another guy, rookie wide receiver, Javon Wims.
That's who impressed me yesterday. Yeah. He was balling yesterday.
He was catching everything. Yes. The man finished the game with 7 catches, 89 yards, all right? He was a 7th round draft pick to the Bears. Now, why did he fall all the way down to the 7th round? Because he played at junior college, okay, before he enrolled at Georgia with the Georgia Bulldogs. And his junior year, he didn't start. But last year, he started for the first time at Georgia. He led the Georgia Bulldogs in every receiving category. He's a late bloomer. Yeah. He used to be a basketball star. And so this guy has a lot of potential. Right now, he's number 5 on the Bears depth chart behind Anthony Miller, Taylor Gabriel, and Kevin White. But I think he should make the team.
He keep performing like that in the preseason, he'll make the team. Yeah. They'll make a room for him. Last question, last thing on this. Roquan Smith, he's still holding out. Now, listen, I'm one that never judges any football player for holding out. Like, I never do. But I'm ready for them to get this done. They need to get this done. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I hope if you're watching this right now that Roquan Smith holdout is over. But, you know what I'm saying, he's holding out because of the helmet rule, you know what I'm saying?
Which I don't blame him, because that helmet rule, that's a whole different conversation. That is an awful rule.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. But, I don't know what the defender's supposed to do. So I understand him coming from there, but it was something they wanted the Bears to put in his contract. It said protection from discipline outside the realm of a football player.
He's not going to get that.
Yeah.
He's not going to get that.
And so it's like, so if he punched a ref or, you know, getting a fight with his girlfriend or something, I don't know what he's trying to say, or his agent is trying to say, CAA agency. And now these are the same agency like Boone Potatoes last week that represent Joey Bosa.
Correct.
Joey Bosa missed 31 games before his rookie year started.
Right.
So he
31 practices.
Yeah, he had 31 practices. Yeah. So, you know, hopefully he can have a career like Joey Bosa. But I'm ready for it to end.
Yeah, I'm ready for him to come back. So hopefully they get this deal done. You're watching Spectator Sporting on SpectatorSporting.com. When we come back, we got Chauncey from ChiTownBlockBoyz Fantasy Football League to give us an education on the football this year. We'll be back.
Okay, cool.
Welcome back to Spectator Sport, sponsored by SpectatorSport.com. I'm Zach Roach.
I'm Eddie Weller.
Make sure you go to SpectatorSport.com for previous shows, clips. This show will be on there very soon. Make sure you subscribe on the YouTube page. This is episode number 14. We call it the Ernie Banks edition of Chi-Town Legend. We got my main man, Chauncey, from the ChiTownBlockBoyz Fantasy Football League to talk fantasy. It's fantasy time. I'm excited. Football is here. It's all started, so I can't wait to get in this conversation. So let's just talk right now. You have a ranking system. You call it a tier system.
Yes.
So explain this to us.
Well, I separated it into the most elite football players in fantasy, which is my tier 1, tier 2. Tier 1 will consist of guys like Le'Veon Bell, Todd Gurley, Antonio Brown, David Johnson, and Ezekiel Elliott. Tier 2 will be Hopkins out of the Texans, of course Odell Beckham Jr., which is the most explosive player, Kabir out of New Orleans, Julio Jones, and this is a weird one, but Thomas also from New Orleans.
Oh yeah, he's very underrated.
Yes, very underrated player.
And then, so I'm seeing that you have Aaron Rodgers as your #1 quarterback, but he's all the way down as the number 36 overall guy in your fantasy football rankings. Can you explain that to us?
Reason why is, and with a tier system like I have, you don't want to take quarterbacks. There's no quarterback in the tier 1 and tier 2. Quarterbacks are the most, there's value. Every player is a value in fantasy, but their value is less than an explosive player. These explosive players are good guys that are going to get you points right off the top. Quarterbacks are always going to be there in the draft. You're going to always, depending on the type of league you have, whether it's a dynasty PPR league or regular fantasy football league, quarterback is always going to be available. But these guys, Le'Veon Bell, there's only one guy like that.
Any tight ends in the top tier 1 and tier 2?
Not this year. Gronk would have been there, but due to his age, his injuries, he's fallen down well to top 4, top 5 tier.
Okay. And so now fantasy football owners should know, or people that's going to go in the draft, that Mark Ingram, he was a Pro Bowler last year, but he's suspended for the first 4 games. So you got Alvin Kamara. What do you expect from him? He's going to have a bigger load with the New Orleans Saints. What do you expect from Alvin? I
expect that he'd have a dramatic and impactful year, better than last season. He doesn't have the load to share for the first couple of games like he did before he didn't start last year starting for running back. This year he's going to be the key offensive weapon that the Saints use along with Thomas. These guys are going to be very, very explosive.
Okay.
Now we talked about these top tier players, and your list may rank different, but some players are just ranked high all the time. So if I'm drafting and I see these top tier players, what's a player that I might want to be cautious about?
Yeah, I would say my #1 guy to be cautious about would be Dak Prescott. If you had him last year, you bear witness. This guy was very, very inconsistent. He was up and down. He had some good games, and he had some games that you wish you can cut him right then and there. Also, a guy who's been very inconsistent last year, he didn't play much, will be Marshawn Lynch for the Raiders. Raiders had him hoping that he would have that same impactful season that he had with the Seattle Seahawks, but that's yet to happen.
He's older too. That's going to be hard to find.
Playing enough, yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Saquon Barkley, he's the first running back to be drafted in the top 2 since Reggie Bush back in 2006. So I'm expecting a lot. A lot of people are expecting a lot from him this coming season. But there's other rookies in the NFL that fantasy owners need to look at. So can you give us a wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, and a running back not named Barkley that you think is going to get a lot of fantasy points?
Yeah, I'll start with the quarterback position. My favorite quarterback rookie coming out of this year, I thought this guy was very, very underrated. He was drafted #10 through the Arizona Cardinals, but I think he's a part of the best NFL-ready quarterback as far as rookie will be Josh Rosen out of UCLA. This guy is ran a pro-style offense at UCLA, and I think he's going to carry that over with the Arizona Cardinals. #2 will be the #1 pick in the draft, will be Baker Mayfield. I believe this guy, a lot of people question why he should be taken #1, but obviously Cleveland took him for a reason. So I see the guy being very, very explosive. As far as running backs, I would say will be one of my biggest running backs besides Barkley will be Darius Geis. Came out of LSU to the Washington Redskins.
That was a great pickup.
Yes.
He's going to be a bad boy.
This guy's very, very explosive. Ran with power, also has power and speed. #2 guy will be Rashad Penny out of San Diego State. He was drafted to the Seattle Seahawks. This guy, all across all fantasy boards, people have him really high. I don't have him in my top 5 tiers, but some people do. #3 running back will be Sony Michel. This guy played a national championship game. Everyone saw the tape. This guy's, man, he's very, very explosive, very, very quick, agile on his feet, quick cutting, one cut type of running back position out of Georgia. Wide receiver, I'm going to take the number 1 wide receiver taken in the draft, DJ Moore. DJ Moore out of Maryland to the Carolina Panthers. Oh man, this guy, he's very, very explosive, very, very quick. Small, tight package type wide receiver, but very, very.
He's going to get a lot of opportunities too, because Carolina has a need at wide receiver.
Big need. And this guy right here, Christian Kirk, out of Texas A&M, he's by far my favorite wide receiver in the draft. This guy reminds me a lot of Odell Beckham Jr. coming to LSU.
Oh, that's a big statement right there.
He reminds me a lot of this guy coming out of college. He has all the total package: speed, agility, quick feet, great hands. Oh man, he makes a good wide receiver.
Yeah. Any rookie tight ends that's gonna put up some numbers?
There's only one rookie tight end that matters. That's Mike Gesicki out of Penn State.
Okay.
And this guy's 6'6", 256 pounds, doing 360 windmill dunks in all season.
He's with the Dolphins, right?
Miami Dolphins picked up a great thing by getting this guy. He's going. Hopefully they play him quickly. But we'll see.
Okay. That's pretty good. And what about the top defenses in the NFL? Give us the top 5 defenses in the NFL.
Well, that fluctuates, but there's the same defense that started last year. Number 1 is going to start number 1 this year, which is going to be Jacksonville Jaguars.
They're loaded.
They're fully loaded at every position. They don't have a physical weakness at no position whatsoever. My number 2 is going to be the number 2 pretty much last year, Minnesota Vikings. They didn't lose any position, nobody on defense.
Right.
These guys play every position. They play solid, keep no defense very, very, very well. My number 3 is going to be Philadelphia Eagles. They didn't lose much. They gained a lot by picking up Michael Penix.
That was a huge pickup. Pickup.
Yes, they're going to be very, very explosive. The national Super Bowl champs. They're going to be hard to beat. Number 3 is going to be the most loaded team that picked up the most key players in free agency this year. Is going to be the LA Rams. These guys picked up somebody. I mean, all the top pro bowlers, you can name them all. That's going to be very, very
Marcus Peters, Talib Khalid.
Yeah, these guys are going to be loaded. And to round off my top 5, we're going to go with the LA Chargers. LA Chargers, they lost their number 1 cornerback for the whole season in Burnett. But the rest of their cornerbacks going to pick up the load, and they're going to
still got Joey Bosa in there.
Joey Bosa, yeah, they're going to be very solid. I'm very, very excited to watch the safety out of Florida State, James, play. I mean, this guy he's a solid monster. I mean, he's an explosive type of player.
Yeah, he fell all the way down to number 17 in the draft.
That was incredible.
That should have been a top 10 pick.
Yes.
That was incredible. Now you play in the big league. You play in the Dynasty League.
Yes.
You got over 28 people, so 28 people drafted. So you got to know players inside and out, pretty much the draft to get value. So if I got the number 28 pick or something like that, and I'm picking last, give me somebody that might be some value to me at that pick.
If I'm picking, if he falls, a lot of people sleeping on this guy. Sony Michel from New England. Sony Michel, he's not been talked about a lot. A lot of guys are sleeping on him, but I watched a lot of his tape coming out of Georgia last year, the national championship game. Like I said before, he's going to New England. New England has a running back by committee offense. They've never really been a solid, solidified running back in New England in years. I think so.
Since Corey Dillon, right?
Since Corey Dillon, I think Sony Michel is going to change that. He's going to be a very, very explosive guy.
What about the hometown team, Chicago Bears?
Yeah.
Is it that bad?
No, the Bears is very, 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 very hard to predict. They look good on paper every season, but it's kind of hard to.
What about Jordan Howard?
Oh man, I think Jordan Howard's going to have an explosive year. I think he's going to be a sleeper that a lot of people. I haven't listed really a 4 or 5 tier guy on my list, but I think he's going to have a very, very explosive year this season.
Yeah, you got the Bears defense ranked at number 15 on your list.
I think the Bears defense is going to do pretty well. I think they did a great job. They had last 6 games of the year on defense. They played pretty solid. I think they're going to carry that over transition this year. They kept the defensive coordinator, of course. I think they're going to do pretty well.
Okay. Well, Chauncey, we want to thank you very much for that. This is Chauncey from the ChiTownBlockBoyz Fantasy Football League, educating us on this fantasy thing.
No doubt.
I'm ready to draft right now.
Right.
You're watching Spectator Sporting on SpectatorSporting.com. When we come back, Valis Veto is here. It's been some big time trades. He's going to tell us. We'll be back. Welcome back to Spectator Sport, sponsored by SpectatorSporting.com. I'm Zach Roach.
I'm Adewale.
Make sure you go to SpectatorSporting.com for previous shows, clips. This show will be on there very soon, and much more. Also, great articles written by my man right here. This is episode number 14. That we call it the Ernie Banks edition.
Right.
Great Hall of Fame player for the Chicago Cubs. Now we have Valis Veto here, the baseball, talking baseball, and it was a crazy hectic week in trades this week. So we're gonna talk about the home team, the Cubs. The Cubs traded 3 minor leaguers for starting pitcher Cole Hamels. What's your thoughts on this trade?
Well, I think the trade was an excellent trade because they were mostly lower level minor league guys. We don't know what they really do in the minor leagues per se. They can be, rock stars in the minor league and never hit a at bat or even a pitch thrown in the major league. So it's a good pickup. Cole Hamels, he is dominating already. It was quick. It was instant. He needed a change of scenery. And he got gratification, right? His last great feat was done in Wrigley Field. That no-hitter in 2015. He's like welcome home. So it was fantastic.
The Cubs also traded for relief pitchers Brandon Kinsler and Jesse Chavez. What's your thoughts on these trades?
Well, they kind of mix up our bullpen a little bit. It gives a little bit of a spark to the existing bullpen players.
Competition,
also,
right?
Yeah. Also, it gives a little spark to those fringe or third tier. If we talk about the fantasy role, the third tier type of starting pitchers because they're going to the bullpen.
Okay. So, right, and now the Cubs, they trade for Cole Hamels. They already got Quintana. They got Kyle Hendricks. They got John Lester.
Who's pitching great, by the way.
He's pitching unbelievable. And, Montgomery's going there. He's doing his thing. He's doing all right. Now, what's going on with you, Darvish? I mean, in the play, I'm thinking about the postseason. It starts in a couple of months.
I've been telling y'all he's not prime time. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What's going on? I'm thinking is he going to be a relief pitcher? Is he going to get in the star rotation in the postseason? What's happening?
Well, I think he will determine his own role. You have to remember and realize about the Chicago Cubs 2018. Have 7 starting pitchers. We just named 7 starters, right?
Right. Chatwood.
Yeah. Yep. We got Yu Darvish, who could or could not be going to the bullpen. We got Lester, who's the ace.
Right.
We got
Quintana,
Hendricks
starting to pick it up now.
We got a ton of guys that are going to be vying for 4 spots, which will ultimately go down to 3 spots once you get later into the to the playoffs. You got 7 guys. What's going to happen to those 7 guys? They will all play into their roles, I believe. It's a great spot to be a Cubs fan right now because they're oiling.
But Yu Darvish just got a fat check. So a big fat check. So if he don't make the postseason starting rotation, what does that say about him?
He's ultimately a bust for this year.
Yes.
But he has a long contract. In professional sports, I believe, you can never write a person completely off because we don't know what he will do in the off season. He may go to some, go back to his own mother country and get into some of the organic things that they do over there. We're not gonna get too far into that, but we don't know what's gonna happen with him. He's not an old guy, right?
No, he's definitely not.
He got at least 4 or 5 quality years left in his career, so we don't know what's gonna happen. This year could be a bad year. He can bounce back next year.
Okay. Yeah, well, there's another team in town, the White Sox. They was very quiet. Starting pitcher James Shields, Abigail Garcia, and Jose Abreu are still on the White Sox. What do you think about that?
I simply don't understand it. I felt like they should have parlayed those good pieces into more, younger assets. It could be younger, more usable major league players, some fringe guys that just came up. You could have got some good guys, or you could have parlayed them into some minor league guys. Some contending team really needs Abreu. Yeah. Some contending team really needs Jake and Shields.
Yes.
But I'm not so sure about Shields. He can possibly be over. Could be, I'm not so sold on that gentleman. He could be done.
Right, he could be. And Jose Abreu, I think they're keeping him around because he can be a mentor for the young guys, especially for the guys from Latin America and things like that. So,
he's an all-star.
Yeah, he's an all-star.
And it's also about ticket sales. And he's one guy that can bring people to the seats. It's Jose Abreu. He's one guy that people will come to see.
You got to remember, they're owned by the Reinsdorfs. And Reinsdorfs will not allow those seats to be empty, by no means. So they'll bring in a fringe guy, right? They'll bring in a Dwayne Wade. I know we're getting off the subject, but they'll bring in a guy to make sure that the stands are filled. They're going to keep Abreu to make sure that people come.
Yeah, and so last month, the Dodgers, they kicked things off with the trades and everything. Big time. They got Manny Machado. So do you think that the Dodgers, do you think they are the favorites to come out the National League over the Brewers and the Cubs?
I wouldn't pick them as favorites. I got the Cubs as favorites. Not even just because I'm a homer, but I think the Cubs made the proper moves to position themselves right there with the Dodgers. But I know that Machado was the centerpiece of all the dealings, but I really like Dozier. Dozier came in 2 games and he's been a rock star already, really quickly. And then Machado, he's only batting 268 or something like that. Only a couple RBI, maybe 5 RBI. He's been there like 6 games. So I'm not sure. He's not. Maybe the lights are too much for him. Baltimore is definitely a large market, but LA is a whole different story.
It ain't the Dodgers. It ain't
the Dodgers.
The spotlight on now.
The Pirates. The NL Central is turned out to be a really competitive division this year.
Yeah.
Everybody's over 500, pretty much, except for I think one team.
The Reds.
The Reds.
Cincinnati Reds.
But so one day the Cubs is up 3.5 games, the next day they're only up 1. I mean, this is how it's going. The Cardinals get hot, and so all 3 of those teams could be wind up in the playoffs this year. Now the Pirates, they added pitcher Chris Archer from the Tampa Bay Rays. How does this help them?
Well, it could help him eventually, but he got rocked yesterday. So
just one game.
It's one sample size, small sample size, 1 game. He could be stellar for them, but you got to remember, if you pay attention to baseball, that division is always like that. You're talking about you got a division winner, and then you have 2 wild card teams from the same division. That happened. It happened at least 2 years ago.
That happened a couple years ago when the Cubs and the Pirates played the playoff in Marietta. It was pitch phenomenal that happened then.
And it happens.
And then they played the Cardinals in the next round. So that was crazy.
And it happens, and it's probably going to happen again this year. Not so sure, because I really like the Diamondbacks, but it could happen. Could be, those wild card teams could be from our division.
Right.
So it was a bunch of trades. I mean, we just went through a small sample size of trades, but it was a gang of trades. Out of all the trades that were made, which team you think improved the most by the trade deadline?
That's a very good question. It's hard to really say. I could be a homer right now and say the Cubs, because they did address a lot of the issues that quote-unquote people gave the Cubs, and they basically addressed it. Okay, if you say we don't have a bullpen, we're going to actually add another starting pitcher, shift some of those starting pitchers to the bullpen, and actually add an additional closer and a middle reliever. So that solves that problem. The Yankees,
they came up.
They came up big.
Yeah.
Even the Dodgers. We're talking to Dodgers. I mentioned Dozier. They added Machado. They added a couple pitchers. I think it's really good for baseball, and I'm kind of getting off the subject. I think it's really good for baseball that the Boston Red Sox, the New York Yankees, the LA Dodgers, and the Chicago White Sox, Chicago Cubs are, those premier teams, and they're all looking to go to the postseason and make noise, and the possibilities are endless for those great franchises, because this is the year of the comeback.
Absolutely. Well, we want to thank Mr. Valis Veto once again, talking baseball with us. Big time. A lot of stuff happened in the trade deadline. Thanks for sorting that out for us. You're watching Spectator Sporting on SpectatorSporting.com. When we come back, we're going to have Gone in almost 60 seconds. We'll be back.
The top 3 quarterbacks in the Bears' 97-year history are Jim McMahon, Jay Cutler, and Sid Luckman. The Bears haven't had a Pro Bowl quarterback in over 3 decades, way back when Jim McMahon made it with the '85 Bears. That's by far the longest drought in the NFL. Now Mitch Trubisky would try to be the next great Chicago athlete from North Carolina. That might be asking for a bit much. But now, Mitch Trubisky has new head coach Matt Nagy from that successful Andy Reid coaching tree, and several new weapons like wide receivers Allen Robinson and rookie wide receiver Anthony Miller. As Bear fans are just waiting for that day for when their best quarterback in franchise history wasn't playing during World War II.
In 2006, the Chicago Bears had a great defense, and throughout the years of Lovie Smith coaching, they had some great players. Shout out to Brian Urlacher, who just got in the Hall of Fame, and we knew he was going to be first ballot. The question is anybody else on those defensive teams are going to get into the Hall of Fame? I have some candidates. I have Charles Tillman, I have Lance Briggs, and I have Devin Hester and Olin Krutz. Now, I don't know if they're going to be first ballot. I don't know if they're going to make the Hall of Fame. But what is the debate? I think Devin Hester and Lance Briggs will get in. I think Tillman is up for debate. What do you guys think?